Would it? Okie dokie. So, welcome, welcome. Ah, it is so fun to be able to just pass on all of the experience I have gained over the last, I don't know, 5, 6 or so years of doing tarot myself since I was taught. It's such an amazing tool to be able to help you navigate all the signs that you're getting from life. You know, life is constantly talking to you, but we have to get into a dialogue with it so that we can understand what the heck it's pointing us towards and nudging us away from and answering our questions in its mystical, often kind of confusing way. And tarot is one of those ways that makes it so much easier. I'm just going to check that we're all, what's the word, on mute. You don't need to do it yourself. I can mass mute, just so we don't have any background noise. Okie dokie. One more there. Lovely. People are still trickling, which is beautiful. So maybe we'll just give it one more minute before we start into our flow. Let us know in the chat where you are like beaming in from, if you're comfortable to. I think there's quite a few people who are local, so it might be good for you guys to be able to go, oh, another person in Alton or Farnham. So just pop in the chat now where you're beaming in from, and we will get going in just a minute. Oh, and also make sure you've got a pen and something to write on, a journal or something, because you're probably going to want to take some notes. So yeah, I'll just give you a second to do that. Okie dokie. Let's see. Oh, wow, we're all over the place. Wonderful. So we've got Derbyshire, we've got Southsea, Bolton, Farnham, Scotland, amazing. Austria, welcome from Vienna. Hey, good to see you. Essex, fantastic. Fareham, South Wales, where I'm from. Hello, Angeline. Brighton, Hereford, County Durham. I'm saying, I think you're going to find pretty much everybody's from Farnham. Well, not pretty much everybody. I know that there are lots of people, and actually not everybody's here tonight. So maybe we'll ask that each time so you guys can get an idea of other local people, because I know that quite a few people in the group are local. Right, let's I've got a couple of slides. I'm not going to hit you up with slides all night, because I can find that can be a bit wearing. Also, it can be just listening to information like through somebody verbally speaking. So we're going to kind of like come in and out, but we're going to start with a couple of slides. So if I just bring those up for us all. Okie doke. So I know a lot of you guys know me, but there are quite a few names that have possibly found me through the ads and things that I did. So very, very briefly, just to let you know who I am and what I do. So I'm Kia, and I'm an abstract artist. You'll see that I'm in my studio right now. So I paint paintings and I teach people intuitive painting as well. I'm also a shamanic practitioner, which is just the most fun ever. And I'm a speaker as well, and I usually talk on the topic of resilience. You may have seen me, I used to be a monthly columnist at Psychologies magazine, and I've also been featured in the Metro newspaper for my painting course. But really, you know, how do I do those things? Like, those are kind of like parts about myself. But really, you know, the work that I kind of do a lot now is very much sat around the fire with a circle of women doing shamanic practices. I really love getting women together to tell the truth about their lives. I think it's so powerful to be able to create a safe space where you can actually talk about what's going on and get into studying mindset and different kind of self-growth techniques. I have a monthly membership. We do just that. And also, for those of you who are local, in Frensham, in Surrey, we have a beautiful place called the Burrow, and that's where some of these photographs are from, where we sit around the fire and we have sister circles. So that's a little bit about me. Let's get into a course overview. First of all, actually, let me just check in the chat. Has anybody got any questions right off the bat? Because we'll do a Q&A at the end, but I'm just going to give you a chance now to just let me know if you've got any questions, and I'm just going to have a sip of water. Okie dokes, no questions right off the bat. Now, with questions, like I said, there'll be a Q&A at the end, so we'll run for about 90 minutes. approximately. We'll just see where we land. It won't be over 90 minutes, but it might be a bit before if it feels like a good place to pause for this week. But if you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat as we go, or just write them down. And then when we do our Q&A at the end, then you can unmute and like ask your question, or you can, again, just type it in the chat. If I see any questions in the chat as I'm going and I can pick up on them, I will try and do that. But, you know, sometimes you're just fully in flow and you just don't notice anything. So, course overview. This is just a little brief overview of what we'll be doing the whole of our 6 weeks together. And then I'm just going to give you a little idea of what we're doing tonight. So, we're going to be overall talking about, you know, what tarot even is. We're going to be talking about how the deck is structured, because unlike something like a deck of oracle cards, where every card is completely different, and it's just that, there's just like kind of an overall theme and lots of different cards. With tarot, it's more like a set of playing cards where you've got suits and you've got what we call court cards or people cards, so kings and queens, that kind of thing. And then you've got other cards, kind of trump cards. So we'll get into, basically those are the major and the minor arcana. We'll just get into what those are, what the differences are between them, what it means when you're doing a reading, if you've picked some minor or some major, or there's lots of one or the other. Also, like I mentioned, there are suits. So a bit like with playing cards where you've got your diamonds and clubs and hearts and things, we have got 4 suits as well in the tarot, and each suit has like a certain thing about your life that they're talking about. We'll get into that a little bit later this evening. So we'll be talking about what that is. We're also going to be covering shuffling and pulling cards with intention, so that you really are channeling spirit, like or whatever you want to believe, or whatever feels right for you. You know, I should actually just say, any language that I use that makes you go, oh, I don't know about channeling spirit, or whatever it might be, just translate it into whatever words feel right for you. Because with any work like this, it's completely personal. And it's universal. It will work no matter what you believe. So just don't be put off by anything that doesn't resonate, because we're all completely different and we'll all have a completely different set of beliefs. Yeah, just insert whatever words work for you. I don't teach from a place of, and you'll see this in a moment when we kind of get into one of the biggest takeaways, that basically you can't do this wrong. There are no, you know, hard and fast rules. You're not trying to memorize something like a system to get it right. That just doesn't exist at all. So with this whole thing, it's very, very personal. And what was I going to say? I've just lost my train of thought there. Doesn't matter, it'll come back. So we'll get back into the list. We're talking about shuffling and pulling. Oh, that was it, about using language and things like that. I think I've actually said it already. It's personal, it's your own thing. Whatever resonates from me, take that, and whatever doesn't, let that go. You know, you can't do this wrong. We're also going to talk about doing a daily card pull. That's a great way to just be doing like literally 5 minutes of tarot a day. You will not believe how quickly you will start picking up this stuff that I'm putting down. So just by doing a 5-minute card pull. So we'll be talking about that, talking about powerful questions to ask, all the meanings of the cards. We'll do that in a really non-exhaustive way, because when I learned this, I had to sit and write down every single meaning of each card. And it took forever, and I just thought, I'm not going to put you through that. So I've typed it all up for you. But we will be kind of going over an overview of what those meanings are, but without having to go exhaustively through every one. We're going to talk about spreads. I won't go through them now. Assigning your court cards, that's a really, really fun exercise. I think that's next week. And how you actually record all of this wisdom. So there's a couple of different ways that we do that. So that's, I mean, actually, we're doing more than that, but that's just a little overview. So what are we doing tonight? We're going to start with, obviously, an overview of what even is tarot. We're going to talk about this structure of this major and this minor arcana. And the differences. We're going to be talking about how to connect with your cards. That's kind of step one, especially for lots of you guys. I know that you have bought your cards this week or over the last couple of weeks, which is super, super exciting. So your first step is connecting with them. So we're going to cover that tonight, shuffling and pulling them, the 1-card pull that I told you about, so you can get going with that as soon as you are ready, if you don't have your cards yet. Learning something like this, it's not a race. You're not, if you have any sense of, oh my gosh, I've committed to a 6-week thing here. I'm going to have to learn all this stuff. I hope I do it right. I hope I don't do it wrong. Throw all of that out the window, because that just doesn't exist. You can just go at completely your own pace. If you haven't got your cards yet, it doesn't matter. It's actually a really good opportunity. I've been encouraging you guys to share a picture of your deck in our Telegram group, and to be able to see what other people have got is going to give you a great idea, if you haven't chosen your deck yet, as to which decks you might be possibly drawn to. Because tarot is a really interesting thing in that you can look at amazing decks that people use and just look at them and just think, it just doesn't do anything for me. Like, I'm just not at all connecting with this. I don't want it. Hang on, I'm just going to mute everybody. Don't worry if it's you with a bit of background noise, because we're all muted now. It's all good. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about assigning meanings to your cards. That's a huge part of this. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's crack on. What is tarot? I'm not going to go over like slides and slides of history here. It's just this one slide. I'm just going to give you the tiniest nugget, because we're not here for a history lesson. And also what you'll find with tarot is that there's lots of contradictions. I'm in lots of different tarot groups in Facebook. I thoroughly recommend that as a great way to be learning. Lots of people in a lot of tarot Facebook groups will just put a spread up and say, what do you see? And it can be great then just to look at all the answers, and it's amazing how different they are. Again, you can't do this wrong. We'll get into why would lots of tarot experts say that a 3-card reading are completely different things. We'll get into that this evening. Yeah, when you go onto these different groups, it's amazing how somebody will just post some innocent post about this is the history of tarot, just a little fact, and you'll get like loads of people rushing and going, that's not factually correct. So who knows? But this is generally what people agree on. Most people will agree that tarot cards date back to around the 1440s. They came out of Milan and Ferrara, Italy, and that actually it was not created for divination, which is another word for what we're doing with tarot, which is to ask spirit to kind of come through and use the cards to help guide us. It was just literally a game. And here are some beautiful pictures of some old ones. So like I was saying, if you just take anything away from tonight, it would be this. It's not about getting it right. This course is not about learning a whole bunch of technical things and doing it properly so that you won't upset anybody, so that you'll do it correctly, so that you can't do it wrong. That just doesn't exist with tarot. It's an incredibly personal process. There is no single right way of reading tarot. It is a really intuitive process where it's the norm for you to assign personal meanings to the cards. So you've got the standard universal meanings, and even with the standard universal meanings, you will find that some of the biggest names in tarot that have written books on the meanings will still have very contradictory meanings because it is so personal. But you've got those universal ones, with a little bit of wiggle room there, that they're not all the same. But there's also this practice which most people seem to use, which is that you have your universal meanings and then you start to feed your own experience into the cards. I'll give you an example. When I was going on my shamanic initiation last year, I pulled a certain card where the illustration is somebody in a boat with their back to the world, heading off down a stream, literally into the wilderness. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is completely what I'm doing right now in my life, because like an initiation, well, the one that I did meant going out into nature for 48 hours, no eating, on your own, sleeping on the land. And just being in nature and just letting it do its amazing magic that it does when you do something like that. And so for me, that card is immediately really, really connected to that experience that I had. So when I pick that in a reading for someone, I'm not just thinking, what's the standard universal meaning? I'm thinking of what it means to me. And so often when I'm gauging what the person is talking about, and I share, I'll just intuitively figure out, am I needing to share the universal meaning or my meaning or both? And if I do my meaning or both, it's amazing how much my meaning is the one that resonates with them. And so you'll find that with card after card after card. Something big will happen. You will draw some tarot cards to try to understand it. And because it's a big moment that you're seeking guidance from and understanding, it will really stand out which cards answered that problem. And then shunk, you got a new meaning for that card. So that's what I mean about people assigning personal meanings. We'll get into the fact that you can do that in a really radical way a little bit later on. But basically, what I'm trying to say about you don't have to worry about getting this right is that it's actually about creating a process that you enjoy that gives accurate results. And it doesn't matter how you do it. So just breathe that in. It's just you're going to create your own beautiful process. And it's nothing that's got to be done in 6 weeks together. It's nothing that you're going to rush over. It's intuitively going to unfold from everything that you're going to learn in this course. It's going to set you up so that if you are consistent and you practice, it doesn't have to be exhaustive, it doesn't have to be every single day, but if you keep going with it, you will create a practice that is completely you, completely personal, lots of your own personal meanings infused into the cards. You will shuffle your own way, you'll pull cards your own way, you will intuit the guidance that's coming through you, and you will start to meld that with the universal meanings that you will be bit by bit starting to get more confident with, and they'll start dropping in and sticking, as you go along. And at the end, you'll have this beautiful personal process. And as long as your readings are accurate, which just comes from practice, then it doesn't matter what it is. So again, maybe just take a little moment and close your eyes if you're comfortable too. Just breathe that in. This is a really freeing, beautiful thing to learn. And you can't get it wrong. And it's a chance to be really creative and create something that is just for you. Beautiful. Okie dokie. So this is a good chance for me to check my notes and make sure we are remembering everything we want to say. So let me just have a little look at that. Again, with anything that I've just said, now might be a good time to pop any questions in the question box if you've got any questions. So I have talked about that. Oh yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to say, and that is that, oh, hang on, no, I'm already talking about the next slide, I think. Let me just go forward. No, it was this slide. Yeah, so, hang on, sorry guys, have I actually already said this? I feel like I haven't said it. I didn't read, or maybe I read it really quickly, but I just wanted to make sure that I do underline what my definition of what is tarot is. And that's this middle bit in the darker writing, which is, for me, I would define tarot as a symbolic system to better understand the intuitive guidance life is sending you. So, like we were saying at the start, I think I did just trip over that bit before and not mention it. Life is talking to you. It's up to you if you want to get into a two-way dialogue with it and ask questions back and listen for answers. And so you can do that in so many different ways. You can do that through asking for signs. You can do it clairaudiently. I mean, I'm someone who is very clairaudient, so I don't expect everyone to be able to just constantly hear messages. But, you can do it through journaling, where you might ask some questions and then stop and listen and notice what pops into your mind. That's just like, that's kind of like how you start with clairaudience. You could be, asking for a knowing, where you really want to figure something out, and you just ask like, hey, life, spirit guides, angels, whatever you believe in, ancestors, loved ones who've passed over. I'm really struggling with this thing. I need some guidance on it. And it might come to you through a knowing, where you're just walking along and suddenly you're like, oh my God, I've got it. And I feel it in my body and I know the answer now. So what I love is that tarot is just one of those ways. But the really special thing is that you might be using, like I use pretty much all of those ways, and there's more as well, of receiving guidance. But tarot is a great way of being able to back up those signs that you've got. So if I've had, I get quite a lot of premonitions in dreams. So if I have a dream with a premonition in it, I might just want to go to the cards and be like, hey, Am I understanding this correctly? Or I just want to check about something, or I just want to confirm something. Same for if I'm just doing some of that journaling. A lot of you guys are creative, I noticed, and so you might be aware of The Artist's Way. The Artist's Way is an amazing book by Julia Cameron, and she talks about something called morning pages, which is now probably more famous than The Artist's Way. So many celebrities and influencers and podcasters talk about morning pages. And that's, again, a bit like what I was talking about, where you're writing and asking questions and you're listening for answers. So being able to kind of get a load of information and think, oh, what do I do with this? I've received all this guidance I've written down. I just want to back that up. I want to get confirmation. I want to expand on this. Then you don't have to keep using these other ways of intuiting the guidance that's coming to you to help you with your life. You can go, you know what, I'm just going to use pictures and symbols. That just is like a really nice way to shake things up, give yourself another way to intuit. And it's just really nice because it's symbols and it's pictures and it's patterns. So that's one of the other ways that I would describe tarot and why I really enjoy it. I've mentioned about how it's not like an oracle card, but I was going to say one more thing about that. With oracle cards, the whole deck is completely made up by the creator. They make up the name of every card, not make up, they're probably channeling, but they're creating this whole deck, the names, the meanings and everything. Tarot is always based on the same structure. You've always got a major arcana, a minor arcana. And if you're using one inspired by what we call the Rider-Waite deck, which is one of the just the most famous decks, which, universally that's what people tend to be using, then your suits will always be the same 4 suits. So that's just a difference. Tarot is the same thing. The person creating it doesn't create the meanings. The meanings are the meanings. You might get ones where, I don't know. Well, somebody gave me a really great example the other day. What was it? It was like it was a wildlife one, I think. And there were 4 different suits, but each suit, even though they weren't what we've got here, which is wands, cups, swords and pentacles, they were 4 different things, but each of the different ones represented the swords or the cups. You just had to do a little bit of extra mental kind of maths to figure out which one is talking about. But so you might get that difference with tarot, but they've all got the same meanings. I hope that makes sense. So let's get into oh no, actually we weren't going to get into, we're going to turn off the slides now and I'm going to talk to you about something else first. Let me just move you guys around. Okay, so okie doke. So as I was saying earlier about it's your practice to create, which is just, again, just breathe that in. Oh, how freeing. This isn't school. You're not here to do something right. No one's going to be marking you or testing you. And how beautiful is it to be invited to understand something so ancient and so powerful, but possibly if this is a new piece of information for you, which it was for me when I learned this, it's that you get to create it in your own way. You get to understand it and use it and create your own language for it. I just think it's an absolutely beautiful thing to be initiated into. So we've got that as a premise. There's now a spectrum of how you can read. I would say the most sort of basic beginner level, or you could say kind of more, if you've got more of an academic brain, that starting point is that you simply look up meanings in a book. You just go, oh, I pulled a 6 of Swords. What does it mean? Boom. And then your most kind of advanced, in my opinion, again, everything is just my opinion, is that you read it entirely intuitively. You pull the 6 of Swords, and yes, you're going to be calling on your knowledge a little bit of knowing what swords means, knowing what a 6 generally means, knowing the different patterns and the systems in the tarot. But that's just going to kind of go through your consciousness because you're at the most advanced level. You will just kind of know that, because you'll have so much experience and practice. But really what you're doing is you're intuitively reading that card by noticing what drops into your awareness as you look at it. I'm totally trusting it, not going, does that make sense? Is that okay? You're just going, something came in, that's what the card means, boom. So that's your spectrum. You look it up. or you just kind of have a intuitive knowing and you have confidence about that. So we're going to be kind of starting here with our basic knowledge. We're going to be learning about how to get more intuition coming through. And we're just going to be moving gently in this direction. But like I said, there are so many different ways of doing this. So I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. One is really, really fun, which Terry Donaldson writes about in his book, and he's like a big author on tarot, which is actually that some people, and he kind of encourages readers to do an exercise on this, make up every single meaning to every single card, just out of their own head. And they do it by looking at each card and asking themselves a whole set of questions about what the symbolism is saying to them, what memories it invokes, and they do, and it's a lot of cards. And so some people do that. Some people have another way, which is quite fun, of only using the major arcana, which are the first 22 cards out of the whole deck. So for me, that's quite wild to just go the massive part of the deck. We're just not going to use that. We're just going to do major arcana. But again, see how freeing it is that you can do whatever you like. There's also a thing with tarot cards, which is when you draw a card, say, we've got this beautiful King of Pentacles right here. You could draw it this way, or when it flies out of the deck or you pull it, you might hold it up and look at it and he's upside down. So when you get a card and it's upside down, that's what we call a reversal. So the card is in reverse. So most people will read the tarot so that all of the cards have their upright meanings and they have a different reversal meaning. So now we've just doubled the amount of meanings in the deck, which again is another reason, because there are such a lot of meanings. And also, it's not like each card is like, oh, it means this one word or this one sentence. Quite often it can mean 4 different things, which can vary quite a bit within it. So now we're like really jumping up to like 600 different meanings or something. So once again, this is why we don't worry about trying to memorize everything and do things sort of technically perfectly, because I think unless you've got the kind of brain that can do photographic memory, you're going to find it really, really difficult. So some people just go, you know what? I'm not even going to get into reversals. However my cards fall, I'm always going to read them as upright. I think that's pretty radical, and I think go you if you feel like doing that. I feel, unfortunately, in a way, I feel really led to the reversals. I love the reversals, so I just couldn't do that. But for the people that just go, I'm just not going to do it, that's cool. So that's an option. And the different things that I'm saying, your intuition is going to be speaking to you through feelings of, oh, that's interesting, like kind of like an expansive feeling. That's your intuition going in. That's a yes in the body. And also, as you guys may know, when your intuition is saying no, it can feel more cringy, repulsive, almost draining. So if I'm saying anything and you're like, no, that's not for me, or even if it's, with intuition, it's subtle. It's not going to be that loud. So, as I'm talking, over these 6 weeks, notice where you get that like, ooh, feeling, and when you get that like feeling, and make a note. Oh, Kia was talking about this, and that didn't feel good. For example, Kia was talking about only using the major arcana, and something in me responded to that. Some unconscious part of myself felt a bit ooh about it. So there's just like a little sub thing there. Okie dokie, yeah, another way that some people read is that they will only look at the images and what they notice in the moment. So let's just do another example. So this one is the Seven of Pentacles. It might be pretty small to you guys if you're looking at gallery. If you want to just see me, you just go up, if you're on a laptop, that is. I don't know what you do on a phone or an iPad, but if you're on a laptop and you just want to see me so you can see this bigger, you would just go up to the right hand. I don't know what you'll see on your screen. I've got like 9 little squares, and you would click speaker. And if you want to see everybody, you would click gallery. It's just telling you that. But anyway, with this one, I'm seeing a woman pouring water into the pot of a lemon tree. So my brain, because I suppose do it the traditional way. I like reverse, so I'm going to be teaching this reversals and upright. meanings and patterns, and also intuition, I would go through all the things of like, okay, what is the suit? It's pentacles. What's the number? It's 7. Okay, can I conjure that out of my memory? And I don't worry if I can't, because that's why we have our cheat sheets so that we can look things up, because there's an awful lot of meanings. But if, and then I would do this part that I'm describing, where some people only read off the images, and then I'll look at the image and literally I'm looking at it to see what's talking to me. And so what I mean by that is, what am I noticing? I'm noticing the yellow lemons. I'm noticing pentacles is money. I'm connecting yellow, gold, money. I'm connecting something now, pouring into something. So you can see kind of where I'm going there, with intuitively noticing what's standing out, and then starting to kind of create a story from that, which I could then offer to the person I'm reading for, or just listen to it if I'm reading for myself, and see if something's making sense. So some people will only do that. They won't go, what do pentacles mean? What do 7s mean? They'll just literally go, oh, what I'm noticing is this. And they will read all of their cards that way. Again, this is a prompt, a little reminder to notice if you're getting a, ooh, that feels freeing, that feels fun. Kia says I'm allowed to do that. I don't have to sit and, look at things. So that's another option. So there you go. That's kind of what I mean by the spectrum. You've got, I just look up the answer, I just look at it, and I just know the answer, something comes in, and those are your two extremes, and you will find somewhere between those. Okay, what have we got next? I have said that already. Yeah, and so essentially you're going to discover whether your natural approach is rooted more in memorization or more on relying on your intuition. And I would say a caveat to that really is that as you're reading, you might change in the moment. Sometimes I will remember exactly what a card means. This is a good one where we've got the 9 of Swords, and we've got a woman with her head in her hands. I immediately remember Swords is about mindset, quite often about conflict. The image is somebody like this. So immediately I'll be able to kind of remember what it means. So what I'm saying is that sometimes within one reading, that will just feel right, that I'll be like, okay, it's going to be around this sort of thing. And I won't feel like I've got to also kind of ask, is there an intuitive message coming through? Because already my intuition's moving me to the next one. So you might sort of vary between reading a card in a very much memorization way, and then the next card is all intuitive. The next one might be a bit of both. So again, just illustrating how those are your two spectrums, and you might be more on one side or the other, or you might be a mix all of the time, and that is fine too. So what I would say is start with the method that I'm teaching you in this course. That would make sense. You're here. And your own method will reveal itself over time. I would say try the things that I suggest that you try. Unless anything that I suggest makes you go, I'm noticing that my intuition is telling me that's a no for me. Unless you're feeling that, try everything that I show you, and you will start to get your own ideas. The other thing that will happen with reading tarot, with the next thing we're going to get into, I think it's the next thing we do, but we're going to be doing it tonight, which is talking about connecting with your cards, how to shuffle your cards, how to pull your cards. Each one of those stages is completely personal, and there's lots of different ways to do it. And what I found is when I got my first deck of cards, how to connect with it just came to me. I just started doing a bunch of steps and they have stuck. No one taught me it. And it's funny because I was in a webinar with Colette Baron-Reid, who some of you guys will probably know her. She makes beautiful oracle decks. And she talks about connecting with your cards, and I couldn't believe it. We connect in exactly the same way. I thought, how interesting. I was never taught that. I don't know if she was, but instinctively, something that I just came out, just started coming through me, is actually something that somebody else does. So I just kind of find that pretty fun, that whatever you instinctively feel like is the right way for you to shuffle, connect, pull, will be right for you. Okay, I think I've banged on enough about it. Doesn't matter about getting it right. And I've said that. Yeah, and basically, the underline from this section of tonight's course is it's your practice to create. And again, just breathe that in. You're creating a practice here. You're not learning a system. That's it. You are learning a system. You're learning about a system to create your own practice, but it's not just learning a system because that's really boring and this isn't school. So yay. Okie doke. Right, now let's get into the whole deck, the deck as a whole. Let's go back to some slides. Before I show you them, one little tip I have for you. If you have not received your cards yet, or you haven't shuffled them yet, if they are straight out of the box, and if you have got your cards and they're all shuffled, then this is a tip you'd use when you buy your next deck, because let's face it, we're probably always buying decks, right? Because buying decks is really fun. And you'll get connected to new ones all the time as well. So when you have a brand new deck of cards, and if you have a brand new deck of cards this week or next week or whenever, an amazing first thing to do is to lay them all out. So they'll come in order. This is why I say do it when you first get a deck, because putting them in order, I mean, some people might enjoy it. It's the kind of thing you could probably give to, I don't know, like an older primary school age child, you know, find all the pentacles, put them in like order, you know, offload it to like a grandchild, a niece, a nephew, anyone. But I personally would find it a bit boring trying to put them in order. But anyway, if you've got a whole deck that's in order, it's really beautiful to put them in order just to see the deck as a whole. I'm going to show you some photographs where I have photographed my own deck, bought a new one so I didn't have to go through them, and show you what it looks like, because it really gives you this beautiful like, oh, whole overview of what we're talking about. Otherwise it can just be a little bit like, you know, sort of just all in your head. So let's get our slides back up. Okay, so here is the entire deck. At the top, you can see the first 22 cards in a tarot deck, and this is the major arcana. We've got 0 to 11, and then we've got 12 to 21. So that's our little top block that's long and thin. And then we've got our block underneath, which is more square. That is all of the major arcana. And let's start bringing up our little titles here. So like I said, major arcana, 22 cards. Minor arcana is comprised of 56 cards, but are made up out of 4 suits. The suits are in an order as well. What's really strange is a lot of tarot, like the little books that come with your tarot cards that tell you what the meanings, quite often the suits are all out of order. I don't understand that at all, because the way that I was taught that the suits, the order that they're supposed to be in, I've been taught it by lots and lots of different people, and it makes complete sense. So just watch out for that. But basically, your suits will be your wands to begin with, then your cups, then your swords, then your pentacles. And like you can see here, the reason that I've kind of fanned the first little block together, so that's your ace to 10, is because those are the numbered suit cards in a particular suit. So we're in our minor arcana, the top line means that we're in the suit of the wands. This first bit that's fanned is your ace of wands to your 10 of wands. And then these next 4 cards that are kind of spaced out with little gaps between them, these are your 4 court cards for your suit of wands. So there we've got our page, our knight, our queen, and our king. So that's our first line. Next line, same thing. Well, now we're talking about your cups. You've got your ace of cups through to your 10 of cups, and then you've got your court cards. And so it goes on. You've got 78 cards in the deck. So I've written somewhere what 78 plus 78 is. I think it's 156. So therefore you've got... because you've got the one set of meanings for upright and another set of meanings for reversals, that's your 156. And like I was saying, no card tends to have just one meaning. Quite often there are about 4 meanings that are like slightly different. Sometimes there's even more. So that's why that 156 can get times many times over, which creates all of these different meanings, which we're not going to try to memorize unless you like that kind of thing, in which case knock yourself out for sure. Okay, I'm not sure if we're going to be talking about the suits just yet. Let me go back to my notes. Oh yeah, so the difference between the major and the minor arcana is that, you know, basically what are tarot cards doing? They're helping you navigate your life. They're helping you navigate your challenges, help you understand why you're going through what you're going through, how you can better navigate things. I talked a little bit on some of the reels that I did and the videos I did talking about tarot, how a lot of people think of tarot as fortune telling, and yeah, it absolutely can answer some questions about your future. I don't know why that doesn't appeal to me. I think I'm very much, if I'm meant to know, I'm meant to know, because I know my guides will tell me. So I don't need to go searching for all these answers, because I think that if I'm meant to know something, I will know something. I'll have a knowing, I'll see signs. And if I'm not meant to know it, then I'm probably not meant to know it. So it's probably not helpful to know it. So therefore, I'm not constantly going to the cards trying to like tell my fortune. So that's just like a little bit more information on that. But basically, yeah, they're here to help us navigate. And the major and the minor arcana relate to different aspects of our lives. So the major arcana, that is your soul's journey. So these top cards, these top 22 cards on this strip at the top on the screen, we're talking about your spiritual evolution. It's really the map of your evolution, or a person's evolution of consciousness. So it starts with innocence and potential with the first card in a tarot deck, which is the Fool. So that's all the energy of, being the Fool. You don't know something yet. You haven't experienced something yet. You're taking a leap. You're innocent. And then when you get all the way from this Fool at the start and you get to the end of the major arcana and you get to the World, that tends to represent wisdom, intrigation, why can't I say intrigation? Intrigation. Saying it wrong. Integration. I think that's it. We'll go with that. So when you get to that word, and enlightenment, that's what that means. So you've got, you know, when you go from being, you know, in this innocent, full of potential to a place of, I've got to say it again, integration. I think I said it right that time. Then you can imagine you've got a whole journey to go on. How do you go from, and what do you have to, gates do you have to pass through? What lessons do you have to learn? Where do you have to grow to be able to go from being the innocent who doesn't kind of know too much about something and has got all this potential but has not tapped into it, to being fully integrated? You can imagine you've got an awful lot of lessons to learn. So your major arcana cards, they're all like mostly single words or two words, like the Fool, the Magi, the High Priestess, the Lovers, the Tower. So they're all, you know, they've all got names like that. Whereas your minor arcana, let's look at those now, they just represent your everyday situations. So when you're drawing your cards, your major arcana that you draw will be like, oh, we're talking about this big life lesson. Your minor arcana will be like, and this is how we navigate it. These are the more practical things that we need to look at to be able to navigate this process. So they're the minor intricacies in life. Again, why is this useful? Because if you do a reading, say you do a 3-card reading, that is a very standard reading that people use. It's kind of the main reading that I go for. This, we'll get into spreads and layouts later in the course. And there's all sorts of creative, wonderful ones using lots and lots of cards. After all these years, I really just keep returning to the 3-card pull. And then if I need some more information, then I just keep pulling. But I'm sticking to kind of my 3-card setup. So if you're only dealing with 3 cards and they're all major arcana, it's really useful to be like, oh, okay, so we're talking about a major life thing here. I'm obviously going through a bit of self-growth on a particular topic, and here are some of the things that I need to look at. If you just pull minor arcana, you're doing a 3-card pull, you just, oh, they're all minor. Immediately the first message is, okay, we're just talking about some annoying little thing in your life, or some minor little relationship thing, or a little query about that. It's just going to be something practical and, you know, a little intricacy in life. So there you go. That's kind of your major differences between the 2 sections in the deck. We'll get a bit further into the 4 suits and what they mean. You know, I said that they've all got their own meaning. They've all got their overarching thing that they're talking about. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first of all, I'm just going to take you off slides again. and let's talk about connecting with your cards. I absolutely love talking about this kind of thing. This is, the intuition part. So first thing, now hang on, how are we doing for time? You know what, we're at a halfway point at this point. I'm going to give you guys a 2-minute break. So if anybody needs the toilet or just wants to make a cup of tea, let's have a 2-minute break and then we'll get going with connecting with your cards. And again, if you want to put any questions in the Q&A for later, feel free. Okie dokie, welcome back. So, connecting with your cards. The very first thing that I would say to do when it comes to connecting with them, and what am I meaning when I'm saying connecting with them? What I mean is that it's kind of hard to put to words really, but like this is my first ever deck of Oracle cards that I bought. They're beautiful Denise Linn ones called Sacred Destiny. When you feel like, this is the only way I can explain it. I'm going to just get the camera down a bit lower. I feel like they're connected to my heart space. I feel like I can trust them. If I ask a question, I'm going to get the right answer. There's a connection there. It's kind of, I guess it's one of those things it's hard to put words to. And so you want to feel connected to them. And here are some ways you can do that. The first one is as soon as you get any new deck, the first thing I would do is to cleanse it. You can use all sorts of different things. Some people use white sage, Palo Santo. I personally use pine needles, which I have bound together. That is a very Native American shamanic practice that I was shown in a journey, and had all sorts of amazing intuitive guidance and synchronicities that was telling me, because I was asking, what is something that is true to me where I'm not borrowing from another culture, just randomly, because I just go, oh, that's what other people do, I'll do that. Like, what is my thing? And I grew up in amongst the pine trees in Wales, and this just feels incredibly true. So I would light it, it will start smoking, and I will cleanse the deck. So first step, again, anything, hang on. Is the thing on my screen only what I can see? Yes, it is. Oh, good. It's like a line down my face. I don't know where that came from. It wasn't there earlier. But anyway, what was I trying to say? Yeah, anything that I say, if, cleansing deck sounds like something that you're like, doesn't do anything, then you don't need to do that. But that's just sort of one way that I do it. Some people use incense sticks. You don't have to go, if you've got incense, you can just grab one of those. So first thing I would do is cleanse it. I also was taught that if there's any other energy attached to your deck, because anyone that's touched your deck, they're leaving energy on it. Generally, if you're buying a brand new deck, it's probably going to come in cellophane wrap and nobody's touched it. But even so, if there's a bit of energy that you want to knock out of it, you just knock it out. Give it a little knock. Oh, don't know why that feels so good. So that's one of the first things that I do. I cleanse it, give it a good knock. Another thing I do, which sort of just, it's again esoteric language, I suppose. I like to give it a little blow, just to get my imprint on it. Don't ask me why, it's just natural, it's just what comes to me. And again, I share this, not to say this is what you've got to do, but to share anything that instinctively comes to you, like this is what this feels like when I set the intention, I want to connect with these cards. You might go mentally through the list of what Kira's shared or other people have shared with you, but also leave that gap for other ideas to drop in that are your ideas, that are for you, that are your personal practices, that your guides, again, whoever it is, whatever you believe in, is helping you with this and is sending you your guidance through your cards. Whatever that happens to be, or how you want to name it or not name it, that source will have a language that's just for you. So trust whatever comes through, even if it feels a bit weird to kind of go to your cards. It did for me when I was doing that in public for the first time. And now it's like, oh my gosh, how ridiculous that ever felt uncomfortable, because that is just such a part of my personal practice. Okay, so I've jumped ahead a bit actually. The first thing that I would do after I've cleansed it and done anything else that intuitively feels right is to put them by my bed and to sleep next to them. And I don't give a timeline on this, just if that feels like a good thing to do it until you don't want to do it any longer, or do it until you end up taking them downstairs or into another room for whatever reason and forgetting to put them back. And it feels okay that you've forgotten to put them back. At some point, they'll just sort of graduate and find somewhere that they want to live. And, these are a sacred thing. Your cards are sacred. So, think about what feels good for a place for them to live when you do take them away from your bedside. Again, it doesn't have to be next to your bed. I always like that. Sometimes the first couple of nights, I'll put it under my pillow, quite far away because they're quite big. You don't roll on them. But that can feel really good. So by your bed, under your pillow. Now, the next step for connecting with your cards, I love this one. I thoroughly recommend it, and make it like a beautiful moment for yourself. Light candles, make sure nobody's going to disturb you. I like to just sit on my bed and get my deck, and you just go one by one, looking at each card. And you're just looking. Like, can anybody remember taking art at school where you're taught the art of looking? Like, you've got to look, keep looking, look a bit more, gets uncomfortable, still keep looking. I think that's the only thing I was ever taught, because I sadly didn't get to do art GCSE, so I didn't do art for very long. But I do remember that, looking. So you're going to do that with literally every card. And because tarot cards are a big old deck, that might take, might take 3 or 4 sittings where you maybe go through, 20 at a time or something, and you just intuitively think, I'm done now, I'm just going to put this to one side and I'm going to come back and do it another time. But spending a moment looking at every single card and sitting with each card is another way to do that thing that is difficult to find language to explain, which essentially means to suddenly feel like, oh, I've got a connection. I'm developing this connection with my cards. So that's another thing to do. Okay, so that's kind of like before you get started on trying to connect with them, do a few of those bits of sort of spiritual hygiene and connecting in a broader level. But now we're talking about how to connect right before you're going to start pulling, like shuffling and pulling your cards. This is what Collart Baron Reid also does, as I mentioned in the thing, that I instinctively started doing when I first got my first set of cards years and years ago. And that is that for some reason, it feels important to rub my hands together. So I start like this, and then it feels right, personally, to place them on my heart. And then it feels right to breathe in. Close my eyes. Yeah, that's the next step. Close my eyes. And I take an inhale. And it's, again, very hard to put into words what I'm experiencing. But I'm basically experiencing a sensation, a knowing that as I'm breathing in, all that energy that was on my hands are moving through the cards and into my heart space and back. Now, that is just like, I've never kind of really broken it down that technically before. But if I put language to what I instinctively did, which was literally very quickly, pick it up, set my intention next. I want to ask about this. My intention is to connect with these cards and get some guidance on something. That just came to me in a second. And yet it is actually a few different steps. So start, if nothing's coming to you, with what I've just shared with you, if it feels right, or just one or two of those steps. And as you go, you will start to, a bit like I've explained about how, if it doesn't feel like I'm connecting, oh, that's another step. So if you do all that and you feel like, I don't feel like I'm connected. And again, don't worry about knowing what that means or whether you are or you're not. At some point, you will know when you're not. Then I might go, oh, I need a little knock. I might need a little bit of a breath on it, whatever. So start with what I'm sharing, develop it, drop bits, add bits in, create a whole damn thing, from scratch as you go. So that's connecting with your cards. This now leads us on to, okay, we're connected. We've done that extra little step that I kind of quickly went over then, which is my intention is. Set your intention in your head or say it out loud. This now leads you on to pulling your cards. Shuffling your cards. Now, there's all sorts of ways to shuffle. I'm just going to give you I think 4 I've got here, but there's probably other ways. Now, I'm an overhand shuffler, which means, we've got one that's flown out. I will resist looking at it. Let's keep on track here. So what it is my thumb is here. Oh, hang on, let me move it right. Okay, so my thumb is at the front. I'm dropping a few cards off, and then a few in front and a few in front. And as you can see, cards start jumping. They're called jumpers, or some people call them jumpers. I'm happy with that, so I call them jumpers as well. So sometimes, all I do is I start shuffling and already the cards are jumping out. But for other people, shuffling is a whole thing before you start choosing cards, or cards coming out on their own in my case. So you've got your overhand shuffle. Another way that some people love to shuffle, which this is an example of the feeling that I get, which is sitting on the floor, on the carpet, and spreading them out all on the floor and swirling them around, a bit like you'd probably instinctively do if you were a child with a whole deck of cards and you want to look at them. Just swirl them on the floor and then instinctively pick up, and that's you pulling. You're instinctively feeling which ones. That feels like, ugh. So there you go. Notice when you feel that kind of repulsion. It's not dramatic. It's just how your soul uses impulses and feelings and sensations in the body to tell you yes and no. So just get really familiar with that. Okay, so another way of shuffling is, I don't know if I can move you away enough. Let's have a go to show down here. Yeah, I can. So again, this makes me feel quite repulsed, is the one where you just create 3 piles and then you put them back in whatever order. I can't even do it. It feels so strange to me. And again, you might do it again, and then you might put them all back. And also, whilst we're on that one, the people that like to do the pile shuffling will quite often, once they've got their deck and they've cut it a few times, they will just pull from the top, and that's it. Anytime they need to pull, they just pull the next one. And yeah, for me personally, because I'm used to my cards flying out, it feels so bizarre to just go with the next one in the deck. But yeah, for some people who are incredibly experienced and give really accurate readings as well, that's how they do it. So there's another shuffling way. I also feel when I've got a brand new deck, they don't tend to be that bendy. Whereas when you've been using them for a while, there's like a little bit of give to them and they slide over each other better. If you've got a deck that's feeling, I call it almost like sticky, well, in fact, it doesn't matter, I don't need to show you, but my deck that I'm using is like that. I've got a mini version of it and then a large version of it, because I didn't realize when I was buying them on Temu that one, they were tarot cards, and two, that they were fake ones. And I felt so awful that I bought a fake card from somebody who'd designed these beautiful cards, that I then sort them out and bought the proper ones. But they're still quite new because I haven't been using them, because I was photographing them and everything for the course. And they feel like when I'm shuffling them, quite often, like it's huge chunks that are going, that are sort of moving around. It's not nice and easy. So if you feel like they're being a bit like that, then you're going to want to get them to bend a little. And let's bring you back down. This very bizarre view. And that's just your, this kind of thing. You don't have to be amazing at it. I'm not. But just a little bit of this kind of shuffling as a way to get them to start sliding and gliding is just a really good way. Oh, there we go. Just have one that really flew. Ooh, another 9. Wonderful. Okie doke. So, was there anything else? No, that's just 4 of the shuffling techniques. There will be other shuffling techniques. Feel free to Google it to get other ideas. But that's stage 2. So you've connected, you're now shuffling. Let's now talk about how you're going to pull your cards, how you're going to choose the cards that are the cards that you're pulling. So I've obviously shown you a few times by accident the jumpers, where you're just shuffling and you've got your intention of whatever it might be. Help me with this thing that I'm dealing with. Give me answers about X, Y, and Z. Or my favourite one just fell out then, which is, what do I need to be aware of? I just like to cut to the chase, get out of my own ego of what I think I need answered, and just ask, what do I need to know? And I literally use that question like 90% of the time. So that's one. You'll get them flying out, or they'll just fall out. Another technique is, bringing you back down here, to lay them flat and then instinctively start pulling. That's a beautiful one. I sometimes do that. Sometimes that just feels really right. A little tip with that one is that you need cards that are, like I was saying, that have had a bit of bend to them to get them to go really nicely like that. And also you need a good surface. This is my painting surface because I was teaching a painting class, and that just works really well. If you find that, like I imagine if I tried to do it on this piece of paper, it might not work as well. Well, it kind of did, but they sort of fell off. If you find that they're not doing it nicely, then you might want to get some kind of altar cloth. This is mine. It's a headscarf that looks like my cat has been lying on. And if you have a nice piece of material that works well, then that is it's like a dream. It just goes really, really nicely. So if that feels like a good method for you, then you might want to get a piece of material that feels, just like sacred or beautiful. This is quite fun, actually. I really recommend these. This is just from Lush, the bath bomb place. And they sell these scarves that are like headscarves, and they wrap up the presents and things in them, and I think they're at £9. And I just love the material. It's a really good thick material. Okay, so that is a pulling technique. I've already mentioned when people are doing the cutting shuffling, they will often pull just whatever's at the top, and they never shuffle it again. It's just whatever's at the top, and whatever's underneath is everyone that they pull. Is there anything else? No, those are the main ones. I'm sure that if you're getting that, either that neutral feeling or even that kind of like, oh, no, I don't like that, then Google it. Google what are some ways to pull tarot cards, and you'll get a whole bunch of other ideas. And you can intuitively, using your intuitive yes and no in the body, figure out what feels like something that you might want to try. But I would say, unless you're getting a feeling, don't even bother with it. But if there are a few that you quite like, try them all out throughout this course. You know, I encourage you to just, we'll get into it in a minute, but, you know, basically do a 1-card reading most days, no pressure, just, you know, consistency helps, but we're not, you know, trying to beat ourselves up or try to be perfect at this. But if you're doing a 1-card reading often, then just switch things up. Just be like, okay, I need to come up with my own way of connecting. So I might try all of Kia's or some of them. I need to come up with how I like to shuffle. So I'm going to try all sorts of different shuffling things. And it can just be fun. You can be like, okay, on Saturday, I'm going to spend half an hour, you know, maybe just putting into social media or YouTube ways to shuffle tarot cards or ways to pull them, and just see a bunch of ways and then have a little practice and go, okay, I'm putting that away for now. Okay, so that is that. Oh yeah, as I'm talking about things you might want, you might also like something like this. This is another Temu purchase. I used to be embarrassed about saying I buy things off Temu, but now I realize most things are from China, and if I have to wait an extra month, I don't think I'm actually doing anything too terrible. Feel free to educate me though if you're like, you've got that wrong. So of Temu, I do love these ceremonial wraps. So you've got a little pouch to put your cards in. And it's really nice because if I put my smaller version in, once you get them in, and I'm not doing this very well, you roll it all up, and then you've got a little thing. It's just a really handy way to keep them sacred. Put them in something nice. Anybody that's good at sewing might like to make one of these themselves or what have you. Yeah, keeps them looked after, and it means you can just grab them. You know, quite often if I'm going to, I don't know, a girlfriend's house or meeting up with some friends for dinner, I'll quite often bring my tarot cards because there's usually somebody that wants a quick reading and I don't mind. So yeah, you might want to look out for they're called a wrap, a tarot card wrap. And then also it's got the nice 3-card pull spread there. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that as we're talking about wraps and things. Okay, how are we doing for time? Wonderful. So guys, we started at 6, didn't we? So yeah, our 90 minutes is up at 1:30. Okay, I think we're on target. Okay, the other thing I wanted to tell you, like another little practical small thing is, once you have done your pull, say, you know, you do your pull, I would suggest that you do it first thing in the morning. So you just, you know, it's a nice little moment to kind of wake up, sit in bed. If you're at the stage in life where you have 5 minutes to yourself in the morning, I know we don't all have that, then it's a great time to just do a 1-card pull. Now, that question that I was sharing earlier of what do I need to be aware of is a great one to do. And then what's fantastic is to keep that card by your bed so that you go out, you have your whole day, you get back into bed and you see the card again. And then you get to ask yourself, oh my gosh, what I felt this card was talking about, did that happen today? Or what did happen, which is helping me understand what the card is trying to tell me? And so a tiny little thing, but again, another little thing that you can kind of treat yourself to, a bit like talking about cloths and wraps, is, or you can make, I've made these, it's just something to to stand your cards in. So I have made, is it going to focus on it? Maybe I've got to like, it just looks bright white, but I tell you that is a little piece of pottery with a moon carved out of it, but I don't think you can see. And so I've just kind of made an incision at the top, and I just sit my card in there, and I have that next to my bed. Well, that's what I did when I was learning. Now I have these on my altar, and any cards that I've drawn that day, oracle cards or tarot cards. Here's another little one. It just really doesn't want to focus on it. Yeah, so that's just another nice little thing. You can get wooden ones, but you know, why do I share with you that you might want a little stand for your card? It's about this connection with your cards, this sacredness of them. It's respecting them, looking after them, having them, you know, making sure that you don't sort of put a cup of tea on them and spill something on them. It's just looking after them. And yeah, it's a really fun thing to do with clay, I have found. Okie dokie. So let's get into some slides. Can't remember what we're going to talk about first. Let's surprise ourselves. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about the suits. So, as I was mentioning, they're a bit like playing cards where you've got your diamonds and your hearts and your clubs, and I can never remember the other one. It's driving me mad. If someone wants to put in the chat what the other one is, put me out of my misery. But with tarot, we've got wands, we've got cups, swords, and pentacles. And there are kind of lots of different explanations about what each of these suits mean. And so I've kind of given you the first paragraph in white is kind of the technical meaning. The second paragraph is the meaning for each of these suits based on the creation cycle. I'll just quickly say, and then the last one that's in the middle is like the cheat. It's just, this is basically what it means, and it's really quick and easy to remember. But I'm going to take you through each one. Yeah, we'll get back to the creation cycle in a second. Let's go with the overall meaning. So your wands. These are related to the fire element. So each of your 4 suits is related to an element. Wands are related to the fire, and wands basically are talking about ideas, desires, creativity, passion, action, inspiration. And then, yeah, we'll just move through them all. Don't try and like understand this, just as I keep repeating these things every week, it will start to sort of connect the dots and it will make sense. Your cups are related to the water element, and cups represent your emotions, relationships, intuition, and your inner world. Swords, air element, mindset, intellect, conflict, communication, bravery, change. Pentacles, earth element, money, sensuality, health, material things, nature, and career. So to understand that a bit better, it's good to know about the creation cycle that is going on within the tarot. So the minor arcana is talking about what you're creating. It's talking about how you're going through a cycle of initially, if you're creating something, and that can be anything. It can be, you want a material thing. It can be money. It can be better health. It can be a better career. It can be, you know, all these sort of essentially, like the end product of creating is your pentacles, your earthly thing, your physical body, your physical money, your physical home, that kind of thing. So if you're on a creation cycle, then the very first thing you need is what the wands are about. That comes first, and that's the idea. So you need an idea. So first comes the idea, and then you need your emotional alignment. That's what cups represents. So you've got your idea, and then you've got to feel really good about it. And then if you've got some idea and you're feeling really good about it, you're going to want to take action. So then that's your swords. That's the plan. And then when you've executed your plan, you're going to then have the creation of whatever the idea was that you wanted to create. You're going to have the physical. That's the pentacles. So looking at that again, with the bottom sort of takeaway, your wands are what you want, your cups are how you feel, your swords are what you think, and your pentacles are what you have. So that's like the easiest way of understanding. And so again, why do you need to know this? Like how does this factor in when you're doing a reading? So let's just do an example right now. What have we brought? I've just brought up the 6 of Pentacles. So I draw a Pentacles card. My brain immediately goes to, what do Pentacles represent? So that's your kind of, and we'll get into this a bit further, like actually giving you steps, like further later on in the course. But essentially, you pull a card, you ask yourself, is it major? Is it minor? Okay, so am I talking about a big thing in life, or am I talking about an intricacy? In this case, oh, it's minor. Okay, so what's the suit? Did I say Pentacles? Yeah, it's Pentacles. So what are we talking about again? We're talking about something that you want to have. We're talking about something in the physical. What's physical? Okay, that could be money, sensuality, health, material things, nature, career. And where are we in the creation cycle? Oh, we're talking about the thing I'm trying to create. We're at the last step, or we're talking about the thing. So that's how we're using this information. Let's give you another example. We're going to get another, I'm pulling all majors. Let's get another minor. That's a different suit. Okay, now we've got the page of wands. So I pull my card. Is it major? Is it minor? It's minor. We're talking about the intricacies of life. Okay, what suit is it? It's wands. Then I go, and all of this is in your handouts. You know where if you've looked through your handouts, you'll have a bunch of pages. Have I got them right here to show you? I have. I'm just going to reach across the table. Okay, so in your handout pack, mine printed out really, really weirdly. I hope nobody else's did. It's never done this before with a PDF, where it didn't figure out that that's landscape and print it landscape. It did it portrait. So, and now my printer has gone offline and refuses to go back online. So that's a problem for another day. I hope yours are printed okay. Keep an eye on that if you are printing. Maybe just do a couple of pages at a time. But you will have all of these pages that look a bit like this, that have got all of your meanings. So everything that is on this slide is, and we'll get into this again later in the course, but all of these meanings are hidden. They're all in the columns and different things, so that you'll be able to look at your cheat sheet and get all of this information as well as the meaning for each card. So just letting you know about that. So back to the example. I pull the page of wands and I go, wands, okay. What's wands about? Okay, that's at the beginning of the creation cycle. It's about an idea. It's a fire element. That's like, spurring you into action. It could be a bit broader than an idea. It could be a desire. It could be about creativity, passion, action. It's about something that you want. So I think that's probably enough of giving examples on that. That's how we use this information. That's why it's important. It's telling us, oh, it's a minor arcana card that you've pulled. This is what we're talking about. It's something you want, something you feel, something you think, or something that you want to have, or that you already have. And that's what we're talking about. So once you get to the meaning, you've got the context for the meaning. We're talking about what you're creating in your life. This is the stage of the creation, the thought, or the idea, or whatever it is. This just gives you an expanded version of all of those want, think, feel, and have. It could be your inner world, your bravery, your courage, and all the words that you've got up there. So that's as far as we'll go with suits for today, because I want to just teach you guys gently and slowly, because we've got plenty of time. But there you go. That's the beginning. That's great. You already know the difference between the major and the minor. You now understand the difference between the suits. Next up, we are gonna talk about, let me find the next thing you've done, pulling. We've done that. Oh yes. So, let me just check the next card. We've got one more slide. I'm just gonna bring it back up to just remind myself how long it'll take to talk about that, so I can get the right pacing here. Fine. Okay, we've got time. Oh, wonderful. It's just wonderful when you plan your notes and you realize you're going to hit everything you want to talk about and not overrun or go, oh God, we've got extra time. Okay, so I'm going to talk briefly a little bit more about what I'm talking about when we're talking about assigning your own meanings to the cards. Obviously, you can just look up in your book that came with your tarot cards, or in the handouts that I've given you, and find a meaning. But let's talk a bit more about what we're talking about when we're saying, but you can assign your own meanings. So I've already said that. So to kind of let you know, the meanings that I'm sharing with you are what I was taught by Angie Bernanke. And I, having studied tarot for quite a bit since I did 6 weeks with her, I really have found she's just got it. She manages to take so many of these different ways of describing the meaning that you'll read in books or what other people will say cards mean. And she seems to be able to take a few different things and just succinctly say, this is basically the thing that you need to say to the person you're reading or to yourself. This is the headline. So you have got everything that I picked up from her, plus everything that I have been taught through my guides. So you've got this lovely combination of everything I've learned. It's not just from her, it's also from other people that I've been studying as well. But it's, you know, I would say I've tried to edit it down to the most effective answers, and a lot of them I attribute to Angie Benecki. And if you didn't see the bit on the website, she's amazing. She is a reader to the celebrities in LA. She actually was just, I don't know if she was featured, but I saw on, here's my guilty pleasure, watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So she just done a reading for Amanda Francis on there. And I'm like, that is so cool. Her readings are £1,000 a pop. So I just love that you guys will have now got the way that she teaches, as I've kind of come through that lineage and get to share that with you guys. So that's just a little bit about where do the meanings come from that I'm passing on and sharing with you. Like I said, it's a mix, but a lot of it is what I learned through Angie. Okay, so I've already mentioned Terry Donaldson's way, which is if you really want to assign your own meanings, you would take each card, put them on a piece of paper, write down whatever memories and associations come up as you look at each card, and you kind of rapid fire do it because obviously it's a lot to do. And with each memory, you're recording the who, the what, the where, the when, the how, and you do that. And then that becomes your deck of meanings. So I'll just repeat that again because I said that quite quickly, and you can look up, I can't remember what the name of the book is, it's not in here, but if anybody wants to read Terry Donaldson's book because they're enjoying what I'm saying and that feels like you're getting those yes feelings, then I can, you know, just let me know and I can send you the link. But yeah, you take a card, there's a whole, like there's an expanded version of this, and he gives you all the individual questions to ask and worksheets. But obviously I'm not going to pass on that because it's in a book. But yeah, you would essentially put it on a sheet of paper and write down any memories and associations that come up with it. That's step one. And you do it rapid fire. And then you record the who, the what, the where, the why, the when, and the how. I feel like I said that just as quickly as before, but if anybody is really enjoying this, I hope you caught that, and feel free to just ask me to anything in the Telegram group afterwards. So that is one way of doing it. And he says, to quote Terry, by tapping into your own emotional reservoir of experience, you will be able to see 1,000 times more things going on in your querent cards. Your querent is the person you're reading for, so it could be yourself. So you'll see 1,000 times more things going on in your querent cards than you would have done otherwise, like if you hadn't have done this exercise. I haven't done this, by the way. This does not, I don't get a yes feeling, so I'm quite happy with that. I like more that the more that I use my cards all the time and I have experiences, I'm more that way, that as I have an experience, I assign that experience with the card that I happened to draw when I was going through that experience, or doing a reading about that experience, or just before that experience. And that just slowly is infusing into everything. And you've received all of that as well in your handouts. What next? Yeah, that's basically what I just said. I've told you that. Ooh, I've got a little quote here to read from this book. This is a beautiful book, Tarot as Storyteller. I always want to add the word a in there. It's not tarot as a storyteller, it's just tarot as storyteller. Can you tell it's getting late? It's getting close to my bedtime. And it's by a lady called Sally Crow. All one word, Sally Crow. So for some reason, I want to read to you from page 37. Let's see what it says. Oh yeah, this is really lovely. So this is one of her practices. Hang on, a sip of water. And she talks about, and this is a great thing to actually bring up right now, symbolism. So all of your tarot cards are full of symbolism. Let me just, I'm going to show, I don't know why I didn't do this before, but I was in full flow. If I just, oh gosh, make myself really big, then you'll be able to see the cards easier. So symbolism here, we have got sky, we have got something being offered, or being grabbed. We have got flowing river, we have got earth, and sky. Here we have got a symbolism in the moon, waterfall, things that are growing. Yeah, like those are the main ones that pop out to me there. I'm trying to find things that are different. Yeah, on this one, we have got a bird of prey. We've got lots and lots of lush nature and things growing. We've got a building at the back. We've got some kind of vine or fruit or, I don't know, olive. I don't think olives look like that here. I think it might be grapes, but whatever it is, there's symbolism. So all the cards are full of symbolism. And that's also, let's take myself back to gallery here. Oh, that's more comfortable. So that's another way that some people read. They just look for the symbols. And that is kind of like another stage that I would say is more intermediate than beginner. But as it is such a big part of the tarot, it's worth giving it a cursory mention now. That's another kind of line of research to go down, is what are the main sources of symbolism in tarot? What do things like a bird of prey mean, a moon mean? You know, a moon is always going to be about intuition. Water is often going to be about emotions. It's going to be about flow. It's going to be about things moving really well. And so what Sally Crow says about symbolism is that when I come across a brand new symbol, I like to meditate on it for a few minutes, noting both my intuitive knowing and my analytical observations. Ooh, I think that's like really good advice for just, if you do want to do something more down the Terry Donaldson way of looking at each card and seeing what it says to you, you might not want to do it his way, but you might want to do something like that. Analytically, what is going on here? What do the meanings say? What am I seeing? But also intuitively, what do I feel? When I look at this card through the lens of all my own experiences, like I'm saying this as if I'm you, what am I sensing? What am I feeling? What are my associations? You know, that can be a really beautiful way to start gathering your own language for the tarot. I didn't actually finish her sentence because I got so carried away with how beautiful it was so far. Oh, that's it. She just said she writes it down. So there you go. There's just another example of how to possibly go about assigning your own meanings if that's feeling really, really good to you. Okay, so we're going to finish off very, very quickly with, we're not going to call it the H word because we don't have homework here. We just do things if we want to. I called it something beautiful. I have called it, and this is your invitation for a daily integration ritual. That sounds better than homework, doesn't it? And so this is something, and I will pop a screenshot of this in the Telegram group after our call so that you don't have to be like desperately trying to write this down right now. But feel free, if you want to write it down, write it down. So this is just basically a reminder of what we've gone over this evening, of the steps in your ritual of connecting with the cards, shuffling and pulling. But I've kind of written it all out for you step by step with some added little reminders of what you're doing and how you might want to explore other options as well. So if you want to be practicing this, ideally 1 card a day, but you know, that's just the ideal and we're not trying to be perfect, like I've said several times. So step 1, connect with the cards. You know, remembering different things that I've shown you, remembering, just feel into, dropping in, closing eyes, setting an intention, just dropping into whatever comes right for you. Then you want to shuffle and ask, I'm going to give you that powerful question, what do I need to be aware of today? Then you're going to pull a card. They might fly out, fall out, you might fan them out, pull them, you might stack them, you know, all the different ways that we talked about tonight. Then you're going to observe it quietly. Just going to look at it. And then you're going to notice what catches your attention in the image. I find that happens for me first. So again, this is the order of what I do. This is a suggestion for how you start. It's not what has to be done. You find your own way. But start with this, perhaps. Notice in the image what's capturing your attention, because this is the other thing, amazing thing with tarot. And another reason why you don't have to panic about needing to remember everything and do it perfectly is that if I've just pulled the High Priestess card, which is absolutely beautiful, because, you know, this is really like as a in your major, it's a major arcana. So we're talking about a big lesson, a big kind of gate to be able to pass through. And if you are in your High Priestess energy, you are fully following your intuition. You know to trust it. You're not questioning things. You know, you're really, really solid and you are really tapped in. So I think that's a really beautiful card to end on today. This is what you're learning to do. But what I was going to say, which is really important and exciting, is that some days I will notice, I don't know, that the woman is just sitting in kind of like a yoga pose. Some days I'll notice the moons. Other times it's the two columns. My intuition and your intuition will guide your eye to the part of the image that is needing to speak to you. So that's why you don't have to try to remember everything. What you notice is your intuition guiding you to what's important in that particular reading. That's amazing. So you notice what you notice in the image. Notice any sensations, thoughts, intuitive impressions that arise. Then you might want to read the actual meaning in the handout pack, and then reflect on how this interpretation relates to your intuitive impressions. So you look at the meaning, you go, oh, you know, was I on track there? Is it completely different? Don't judge it. Because if your intuition turns out to be more accurate than the reading, the kind of more universal reading, then perfect, you're already doing it. You're already intuiting it really, really well. I would then write down your integrated reflection. That blooming word again, I have to practice it. I've never had a problem with it before, so funny. Yeah, so then you're going to write that down, you know, your intuitive impression, what the handout says, and just pop it in a dedicated journal so that you can come back to it at a later date. And then, of course, like I was saying, you're going to come back to it in the evening and go, okay, that's the card I got this morning, remind myself all about it, what happened today? And that can just be really, really satisfying. Okay, that is the end of the teach for this evening. If you need to get going, feel free to go now, but I will hang on in case there's any questions. It can be really useful if people do have questions to hear them, so that quite often other people are thinking things that you might be thinking. So feel free to pop anything in the chat and give me a wave if you've got a question. Jo, go for it. Hey.
Hi, good evening. That was lovely. Thank you, Kia. I have a question about when you do a reading for somebody else, and passing the cards on to them. Do we get them to shuffle, or do we get them to touch them and shuffle them, or do we do that?
Brilliant question. It's completely down to what feels right to you. My intuition says don't let anybody touch your cards. So I don't. And it's really hard because whenever people do a reading with me, if I'm at an event, they're desperate to get their hands on them. And I've got to kind of be like, I'm sorry, actually, I touch the cards. I don't have other people touch them. I think it's down to energy. Personally, it just does not feel like I can give them the best thing that can come through me if their energy is interfering with my process. But you know, people love that. And if that feels like something that feels fun to you, like it does feel fun, the thought of going, you have them, you shuffle them, spreading them out, you pick them. You know, a lot of people do that with much success. So yeah, it's basically down to you. And I would say if you have an interest in it, then try it and see, do I still get, you know, as you're going along, obviously you don't expect to be accurate now, you're just learning. But as you go along, am I more accurate if it's just me touching them? And also, you know, when you're connecting with them, this might sound a little out there, but you might want to ask them, do I share these with other people, or is this just me that holds them? And again, how do you know what a yes or a no feels like? Well, you know it by now, don't you? Get that feeling, or that like, ooh, so you're like, is it a yes? Is it a no? There's so many different ways I could teach you what a yes and a no feels like in the body. That's not really going to come into this course too much else, but if it keeps coming up, I'll give you other ideas. So yeah, Jo, I hope that helps. There's a
lovely.
And
it's funny because I think they're quite intuitive for me. So I've just started reading them, and I think I've got quite a good connection with them. And then a friend of mine came around, she was in a dreadful pickle, and I said, oh, you know, let's let's have a see what they say. And I gave them to her. I said, "Oh, put your energy in them, blah 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 blah," and they were just. I was like, "Oh my God, these just don't feel right at all." So that's really interesting. Yeah, I think it's probably that I have to have them and not give them to the person.
It
So
might be.
thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. And actually, that brings up another point, which is what I say to people when I'm reading for people is I tell well I only tell them not to touch them if they're trying to. Otherwise, I just don't go there and don't mention it. But I just say send your energy to the cards. And a couple of times people have gone, oh, what does that mean? And I'm like, just literally, just look at the cards and just set the intention that you're sending your energy to them. And that's as far as I instinctively, that's kind of a boundary of how much of a mesh of our energies I feel comfortable with. But again, it didn't come from my brain. It's just instinctively, that's what feels right. So yeah, you can tell them, send me some energy. Okay, anybody else got a question? Give me a wave so I can see ya. Maybe no more questions. That means it was all quite clear, which is great. Yeah. Oh, there's questions. Okay. Faith and then Sylvia. And if there's anybody else waving, wave after that. Okay, let's hear you, Faith. Oh, let me unmute you. I've asked you to unmute. Oh, the button isn't buttoning. Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I've got a bit of an admin question.
Yeah.
I didn't know about handouts and a Telegram group.
Okie dokie.
I've just had a quick look through my emails to see how I've missed it, and I can't
find it. No worries. I will resend it to you. Yeah, there's an email with both of those things, with all of the handouts and with a link to the Telegram group. So I will send that to you.
Thank you.
Again, no problem. Sylvia, I think it was you, wasn't it?
Hi, yes.
Hi.
I'm very glad I was following really well. Let's see how it is with talking. My question is, you told us about the jumper when you shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
You said you use this technique, and you also said you normally use 3 cards.
Yes.
So how do you ever operate if there are more cards jumping out?
Oh, yes, great question.
And does it happen often?
Amazing question. Right. So if loads of cards fall out, so like I've kind of got a rule, and you'll create these rules for yourself. You'll just get, again, an intuitive knowing of like, that feels like a no, that feels like a yes for anything. So when it comes to basically any cards that fall out, in my head, if it's 2 or less, that's fine. Fine, I've pulled an extra 2, or I've pulled 1 more than I intended to. If 3 or more fall out, they have to be put back in. Occasionally, my intuition will override it and go, no, you do have to have those cards. So yeah, I start with a 3-card reading, and we'll get into that because I actually have a sneaky 4th card that I add, which has like a different meaning too, but we won't go into that tonight. But essentially, it's a 3-card reading, and once I've shuffled, if just 3 cards fall out, jump out or fall out, and I feel like, well, again, this is slightly going into another teach, but sometimes I feel like I need to ask more questions. Then I just keep shuffling and let more fall out. And then I just stop when I feel like I've got the answer, or that the cards start behaving strangely in that they won't shuffle, nothing comes out, or they all keep spilling out. That tells me you don't get any more than that, Kia. That's it. That's the guidance for now. So yeah, you make up your own rules. If loads fall out, put them back in, unless your intuition tells you otherwise. So yeah, does that answer? Was there anything else? I don't know if there was a second part to the question.
No, that's perfect.
That was it. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, Wendy, wherever you are, I didn't see you. Where have you gone? Because people are leaving now. You're up the top. Hi. I'll just click the ask to unmute button, so hopefully you'll get a little prompt on your screen to
Yeah, got it. That's it. Sorry, not really technical. I just wanted to ask about the size of the cards. I know it sounds really silly, but I bought a set of cards and they are so big, I physically cannot shuffle them. And I know you've given us other options on how to do it.
Yeah.
I bought a beginner set, and I've got like 3 sets of cards now.
Like me.
and I've got my eye on a fourth already. But I've got like learning tarot cards, the witchy cauldron ones. But again, I'm shuffling them, and I'm actually finding them quite hard. I've got a bit of arthritis in the hand. But the first ones that I bought tattoo tarot, and they're mini ones. Are mini ones okay?
Yes, absolutely fine. So to show you what I prefer to use, so obviously I've got these Tarn Ellis ones that I love. And
what sort of size are they, please?
Yeah, I'll show you. Oh, I don't think I need to pick up both decks. So the proper one, which is not a fake, is this size. The Temu ones, maybe if I just do one on one, that'll be much more, a little Didier ones. And kind of if you sort of, maybe if I show you on my hand, like they're quite small.
Is that more sort of like playing card size, that one?
I would say so. I'd say it's a little taller than a playing card. I'd say a playing card maybe comes to about there.
Right, okay.
But they are much, much narrower. And I mean, again, the Oracle cards I was holding, the Denise Lynn ones, that's kind of like a standard size, and you can see how much smaller.
Wow, that's massive, yeah.
Temu ones are. And then again, like the Tarn Ellis ones, those are a little smaller. It is really difficult. It's a very valid question, trying to get the right size for your hands. And if you're buying them online or you're buying them in their box and in cellophane, you just don't know quite what the size will be. So, I mean, I do find that the Rider Waite ones tend to be narrower. Sometimes they're a bit longer. And ones that I think Rider Waite have got, what have they called them? Oh, they've got a word which is, it's not charismatic or illuminated, it's a word like that, which is that they're just slightly prettier and the colours are slightly turned up. So those look a bit better than the original ones, if you don't connect how the original ones look. So that might be an idea to go down that route. Otherwise, you might have to get a cheeky copy set off somewhere like Temu, which for some reason, all of their decks are very similar.
I was looking at some of the tarot decks, and I was trying to see what images jumped out at me, what spoke to me. And the one that I'm leaning towards quite hard at the moment is the Light Seers.
Oh, I haven't come across that one. Sounds good though.
And there's just a picture of
Caro's got it.
Who's got it?
Caro's holding it up right now.
Oh, I'm gonna have a look.
And I have small hands. They're beautiful.
Are they really?
Hands.
Oh, you're there. Sorry. Oh, so how big is it on your hand?
I've got tiny hands.
Okay.
So it's kind of.
Oh, it is quite,
But they're small. They're good.
And you can shuffle them quite easily.
Yeah.
Because this is the witchy cauldron one, and that's on my hand there.
So beautiful. Look.
Yeah, that's.
But the images on there are absolute. I love the fall one with the girl just falling back, and it was it just spoke to me. It just made me quite emotional.
Just to me, it was just like, these are my cards.
Wonderful. Oh, I'm so pleased. Okay, Wendy, there you go. You've got an idea, and maybe you need to go in that direction, same as Caro.
And I'm not sure, but I'll have a look at those. But I'll have a look and see if they do them in the mini version as well. Yeah, if they do, then I might go mini version. Sorry, thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. Samantha, I can see your hands up. I will ask you to unmute.
Hi, just a quick question. On the cleansing side, when you were talking about it, I had this image of rubbing salt in my hands. Does that mean anything?
Well, salt is cleansing.
Okay.
Nothing is coming to me. I mean, actually, no. So I am getting a thing here now of I'm envisaging washing hands with salt, like literally warm water and a bit of salt. That if you're getting something like that, that is very much going to be your guides giving you a way to do it for sure. So I would give that a go. I'm getting a really good feeling as I'm imagining that. So yeah, great. Well done. You're already intuiting. Okay, any last questions before we close the call for this week? Great. I think we're all good. Oh, hang on, there's something in the chat. Oh, is that Tarn Ellis? Yes, the ones that I've got are Tarn Ellis. And great, Sylvia's asked Caro what it's called. I think we've covered that. Okay, gang, well done this evening. So glad that you're here. I'll see you next week, and I will pop the we're not calling homework, the optional ritual image in our Telegram group. Please keep sharing your decks, because it gives me ideas of other decks I need to buy, and I really enjoy it. And I'm sure it helps other people too. All right, gang, I'll see you next week. Oh, Wendy, go for it.
Sorry, just a quick, where is the Telegram? So I'm being daft.
There is a link in, you would have got an email when you signed up, which will have had the Zoom link today, the handout, and there'll be a link to join the Telegram group. If you can't find it, just message me and I will send it to you separately.
Right, thank you.
Cool.
Brilliant,
no worries. Good question. I'm sure somebody else is wondering that. All right, guys. Thank you for the hearts, Raphael. Wonderful to see you. You're such a fantastic group, and I'm really going to look forward to hanging out with you for 6 weeks. All right. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.